Good morning, children, and welcome once again to Wuthering Reader. My name is Kristen. This is the mid-year book freakout tag, and I am freaking out for a number of reasons. I have been great on my reading game this year, but really bad on my reviewing game. So most of these books you haven't heard of yet. Life is kind of crazy right now, for so many reasons. Elias and I are in the middle of buying a house, which is a billion stresses all like there. And work has been crazy. I've recently become the PR representative for our store, and that kind of feels like a second job. So yeah, instead of reviewing the 20 piles of books I still need to review, we're gonna put it off with this tag because there are some things I did want to talk about. It is the middle of the year, which came by much quicker than I thought it would. So we're going to talk about that, and we are going to get to this tag. It has been around for a billion years. I feel like everyone has done it, heard of it, or whatever. So let's just go ahead and get started on that. The first question for that was, what is the best book of 2019 so far? Now, for that one, I didn't know if that meant best book that came out this year or just best book I've read. So I've got an option for both. For best book that's come out this year, A Woman Is No Man by Atif Rum. This one was very excellent. Not only does it say a lot about culture, about religion, it also says a ton about the female oppression within it. This follows 3 generations of women who've grown up in Muslim households where arranged marriages were a thing, and it kind of talks about how the culture itself is very restricting towards women and kind of like their way of breaking out of that. It talks a lot about how people will use religion to justify terrible things even whenever the religion itself doesn't call for it. It's all a cultural thing, and that's definitely something we need to break out of. If the tag called for my favorite book I have read this year, this definitely didn't come out this year, but still, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky is still probably one of my new favorite books like ever, so I'm just going to throw that in there. You've all heard me rant about this. This also has a lot to say about religion, about life, philosophies, family, everything amazing. It is a huge book, so definitely read it. All right. The next question was the best sequel that you have read this year. See, I had a goal. I had a goal to read a lot of series this year. I have barely done that. The only series, it's more of like a series of novellas that I have read this year was the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire. The best sequel in that one, these ones I very hit and miss with. They kind of go up, down for me, like in how I like them. So I'm kind of sticking with it for some of the cool elements, but the best one I thought was the newest one, In an Absent Dream, which follows one of the characters from the first series and their visit to a magical world. The series in itself just follows a bunch of people who are either accidentally or on purpose transported to magical worlds and kind of how they deal with it afterwards. Very honestly, I like the books where they talk about them being in the magical world, which is this one. Next question was new releases that you want to read but haven't. I can honestly say half of my TBR shelf, but we'll stick with these ones for now. That is going to be Recursion by Blake Crouch. That is also going to be Educated by Tara Westover, Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zusick, and The Night Tiger by Yang Si-chu. Right, let's see, my most anticipated release for the year, I actually have 2. One is, I think it's called Bottle Grove. It's the newest Daniel Handler book. I love anything he writes. He's outside of my family and my boyfriend, obviously. He is probably my favorite person to have ever existed. I'm not sure yet. I haven't met them all. Okay, the next one on that was going to be, it's not technically a book, but the completed series of Doomsday Clock, because I am really getting into a lot of Alan Moore stuff, and Doomsday Clock is the continuation of the Watchmen series, which was excellent. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that series. It's been out, it's been coming out slowly, but I'm waiting for all of them to come out to read them all together. Yes, next. So next was Biggest Disappointment. I'm doing a thing where I'm starting to read all of Stephen King's books in order to just get more into the lore, understand the Easter eggs more in every story, and I'm telling you, Salem's Lot had me in a reading slump. Like, it is a pretty short book. It took me like a week to read it because I could not get into it. One of my favorite things about Stephen King, especially in like some of his later books, he has incredibly rich character development. That one had none of that. Because I don't mind slower paced stories at all as long as you're interested in the characters. I just wasn't interested in the characters or the story, and it threw me way off my game, so that one for sure. And next was my biggest surprise. As you all know, I'm very biased whenever it comes to YA anything, but one surprised me very much, and that was The Akata Witch. I read the first book in this series. I'm going to be getting the second one soon. This one was incredible. Not only was the magic system super rich, the world it was built in was really, really well done. The characters were amazing. I just enjoyed every second of this. It's honestly the closest thing I've come to. I know everyone says this about every single magical kids book. It's the closest thing I've come to Harry Potter in a very, very long time. So definitely recommend this series. It is gorgeous. The next one is a new favorite author that I have discovered, and that one is definitely Adrian Tchaikovsky with his Children of Time book. You've heard me rave about this already. It is absolutely excellent. The science is impeccable. It's a really good evolutionary book that talks about giant spiders. Children of Ruin came out a couple months ago. I still have not gotten around to it, but hopefully soon. Excellent writer. One question that I normally don't answer is ones regarding fictional crushes, and that's what number 8 was on this list. I really don't get a lot of them. Most of my books that I read don't really have a lot of crush-worthy people. A lot of the characters I like to read about are very unlikable. With that said though, I am not into women, but Jessie from Gerald's Game was bae. I love her so much. This is an apology to Elias. If she existed, it would be a thing. All right, newest favorite character. I actually have 2 for that. One was in John Boyne's Ladder to the Sky. The lead in this is probably the most unlikable character I have ever read. He is devious in every sense of the word. He's a writer doing absolutely everything to get work out there in any way necessary. He is so diabolical, so manipulative, very, very well written. I love this character, and I loved following him throughout the entire book. Another one you've already heard me rant about, Dolores Claiborne. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Books that made me cry. That's not saying much, guys. Everything makes me cry book-wise. I'm kind of stone cold in real life, but once it comes to books, my empathy meter's just... I have Before We Were Yours. I just finished that by Lisa Wingate. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. And then 3 audiobooks that I read. That was Frederick Bachman and Every Morning The Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. Just thinking about that book, I could cry right now. Fox 8 by George Saunders. And Women Talking by Miriam Towes. Question 11 is books that made you happy. 2 really stood out for me there. One was Washington Black by Essayed Yuquin, and the other one was Postcards from the Edge by Carrie Fisher. And the most beautiful book I have received this year, and this one I just got the other day with my Book of the Month Club, and that was Gods of Jade and Shadow. This is gorgeous. This has to do with Mayan mythology, and it shows. Look at that. It's so gorgeous. Now we're getting to the sad part, which is what I still need to read. I haven't gone back to my goals for the year. I do know I have not met a lot of them, but a couple of the books I absolutely have to read this year. Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Jerusalem by Alan Moore. You can see why I've been slacking on that. And I'm going to read another Mark Z. Danielewski book to torture myself, I guess. You've heard my opinions before. Loved House of Leaves. Could not stand the first book in the Familiar series, but I'm going to read Only Revolutions, which is another weirdly formatted book. It is told frontwards and backwards for some reason, and it involves music. I think it's supposed to be like an album or something. And last but certainly not least, I have put a goal this year to read more series. Part of that is this really delightful box set I found for the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Book Outlet is so cheap, guys. But anyways, I'm going to try to read this series as soon as possible. It also came with a poster. I definitely feel like a poser if I were to hang it up already without reading it first, so I really hope to like this series. And it's a terrible reason to say I really want to be able to hang this up. So we will see. With that, guys, I apologize for the waits on videos. I'm hoping to release a bunch, catching myself up between February and now, because I have a lot of books I have read from February and now that I have not reviewed yet. But I'll see you guys when I see you, hopefully very soon. But yeah, check in again with the next video. Love you guys.